first long weekend of the season is underway, and that means long lines of traffic heading up to cottage country. The mass exodus is making for big headaches on all the major highways, and OPP are keeping a close eye on the chaos, making sure motorists drive with care. And also, safety on our waters is also a big concern, and police will be on the lookout for trouble. Officers will be checking boaters for their Pleasure Craft Operator's Card, i.e. a license. Summer 2010 is the first ever boating season where all Canadian boat operators, regardless of age, must be certified or they're going to get an expensive fine. Police will also be on the water making sure that everyone is following the rules. So joining us now to tell us about the summer road and water safety rules are Toronto Police Traffic Sergeant Tim Burrows and from the Ontario Safety League, Brian Patterson. Welcome to you both. You're not strangers to CP24 because it's one of those recurring things that no matter how often you talk about the rules, I know that on Monday night we're going to have some sad news of people drowning this weekend.
It's the tragedy of the way the long weekend can almost destroy families, is just not taking the time to pay attention, put on a life jacket or personal flotation device.
And you brought one of those with you. Life jackets aren't what they used to be, made out of cork and weighing. And
could it be any easier to wear than this life jacket?
Yeah.
You put it on if you're on on any vessel, because at the end of the day, you and I both know we've been in cottage country. People are having a couple of too many pops, and they're trying to find their life jacket underneath, stashed away behind, and they're in the water. It's cold, hypothermia can set in, and they're just not paying attention. And you know, it's horrifying to see kids running around on small boats under 7 meters.
Yeah. Let's just go to you for a second, Tim, because we were talking with Cam William today, and he was on his favorite perch on Highway 400, and the OPP were pulling over cars. I mean, we all know about drinking and driving. We all know about speeding. We all know about really stupid driving in and out. There was something new, though, to me that he was bringing up. He said they're pulling over cars, and some cars are being pulled off the road because of safety concerns.
Well, realistically, it's not new. It's something that's been recognizable for a long time on our roadways. And we find that when the economy goes down, as it has over the last couple of years, people keep their cars a little longer. And this is one of the things that we often talk about when people will argue that I'm a great driver, I can go fast, the roads are designed for it. That's all fine and dandy for that one individual person. But you got to take in mind, everybody else you're out there with, do they have the same skills?
Exactly.
Are their brakes up to speed? Are their tires in proper condition? Have they done the regular maintenance that their vehicle requires to be safely operated on the roads? That's what you've got to concern yourself with, and we're all sharing the roads with those people.
And, you know, sometimes a truck or a car, a wheel will fall off, and they, you know, you're toast. You're absolutely right, though, with that observation. There's lots of young drivers, and they're very good drivers, and they have well-maintained cars, and you see them zipping in and out. And they may be okay, but they can't account for that really stupid driver who's going to make an illegal lane change right in front of them.
Exactly, and nobody can be prepared for that. And that's one of the things, when we see the high speeders, when we talk about them and we make sure that we get a point out that when we catch those people, we talk about it aggressively.
Yeah.
That's to bring to light the fact that even though those drivers may think that they're great and may think that their vehicles can handle that kind of speed, you can't account for what other drivers may do in front of you, and at those speeds, you have no reaction time. Your vehicle is not set up for the reality that physics will take over.
You're absolutely right. Very good point. And that also applies in the water, particularly in the water with boats, because a lot of people are not used to boats, are they?
I think we're finding, too, the weather is telling us the water levels are down.
Oh, yeah.
Passageways that might have been fine in the past. And, you know, and that same sort of reckless attitude to boating comes out, and you see people roaring around, and often into a channel. They rip the bottom off the boat, put themselves in danger being thrown into the water, hypothermia, no lights on, nobody really knows where they were going. At the end of the day, safe, competency, common sense, Stephen, we always have callers call in and say, well, isn't it common sense that you would wear a life jacket? Isn't it common sense you wouldn't do that? I was on the 400 with Cam today, and at 4 o'clock in perfectly dry weather and relatively unencumbered driving, we had 3 vehicles spin out because they were clearly not paying attention. One of them, southbound, not only spun out but managed to get behind the guardrail and block southbound traffic. So at one point, the northbound traffic was fine, and getting into Toronto was impossible because of one individual deciding that maybe,
I mean,
you know, 160 is a good thing.
You're right. Common sense is not common to everybody.
We still have a lot of people that stay in the city, and on the other side, tourists that come into the city, and they want to see what Toronto has to offer, and this is the weekend that they do it. And we have to make sure that as police officers in Toronto and good citizens and road users, we make it as safe as we possibly can by vigilantly enforcing our drinking and driving laws, our occupant restraint, and our aggressive driving laws. We're right now in the middle of Canada Road Safety Week. It's a federal program, and we rely heavily on the public buying into the road safety principles.
Tim, are there a lot more police out on these weekends than on a normal weekend? Or, I mean, do you emphasize it?
No, not in Toronto. Basically, we have the same demographic with minor variances from weekend to weekend. We have to continually stay on top of the situation that we have in Toronto on a day-to-day basis. We don't look at any weekend or any one given day as a priority over any others, with the exceptions of the mass events that we have, such as Caravana and Pride, where we do have massive numbers of people in town at one time. What we do is every weekend, every day of the week virtually, that you can find a ride spot check set up somewhere within the city of Toronto. This weekend is no different. We will have rides every night this weekend. And there may be, just for those people that want to have too much to drink and maybe sleep it off for a couple hours, ride spot checks in the morning that you might have to worry about. So again, the advice is if you didn't drink, don't drive, because it's never safe.
We've been hearing that about, I don't know how long that has started, Tim, but rides out in the morning for either people who have been on the midnight shift and had a few cocktails after that, or people who are going home after a very late night.
It was a phenomenon that really came out of the States, and it was seeing that they were having a lot of alcohol-related collisions first thing in the morning, and it was commuter traffic. When they finally decided to look and study that, it was because of the fact of binge drinking or drinking too much in an evening. You still have a lot of alcohol in your system in the morning, because the only thing that dissipates alcohol is time. And the more alcohol, the more time you need. And those people, you know, thinking that the old wives' tale, sleep it off for a few hours, grab a coffee, and you're fine, you really aren't.
If you stop drinking at 4 o'clock, you have a few hours sleep, you're not going to be fine to drive anywhere at 7 o'clock.
Not at all.
Tim was there when we pulled, we had somebody pulled over on the 400 at the stop. We had the minister there and the ride truck, and they realized that not only was he impaired, but he was significantly impaired. And his story was, I'd had 5 hours sleep, and I had to get to work. So, you know, at 8:30, we had the ride officers there more to speak to the media, and they ended up impounding his car and the driver, too.
Very, very good point. And we're out of time. Tim, Brian, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And